I'm taking command of this shit.
Thank you!
Hello everyone and welcome to Geek Anime channel. I'm your detective host Igor, and today we are going to deep dive into Alien episode 5. Now I have to start with a disclaimer. There's so little information that I can basically analyze here and present to the fans of the TV show that I even thought about not doing this video. Just like with episode 4, I don't see any reason for me to make a video when I don't have anything to say. But I was so disappointed with this episode, and I know that so many people liked it, that I kind of have the feeling that I need to release some of the steam in my head, because I have so many questions that I don't have answer to. Okay, so if you're looking for a positive feedback for somebody who is super excited and gives you references about how it's connected to Blade Runner or something like this is not a video. I want to save you some time, you can switch off. But if you are like me and when you watch this episode your suspension of disbelief suffered so much trauma, then maybe this video will help you to, just feel you're not alone. Not everybody is super excited about this episode. So I actually want to start with the positive, so let's begin. So I want to emphasize that there are two main reasons why I keep watching this TV show. One of them is I'm really interested in new life forms. I want to know more about them. This is my cup of tea. If you know me, I'm analyzing TV shows, I'm deep diving, and I want to find every little detail. The logo and the slogan of my channel is basically no detail is too little to be noticed, okay, or to be important. And the second reason is the character of Morrow. Okay, this is the most interesting character of this TV show. The others are basically non-existent to me. I'm invested in his fate and I really want to know what happens to him. So we get to know his daughter a little bit through the letters. She's we can see this is when she was small. She's saying to him that she has nightmares, that she basically, fled by the moon. I don't know exactly what it means, but probably on some kind of a catastrophe or something like this. Then there is a letter about her, already planning college. So it's way older. She's 17 or 16 or something like this. And she wants to go to the, to the old earth colleges like Harvard or any Ivy League probably, and she doesn't want to go to the college that's been subsidized by Weyland-Yutani because it will push only Weyland-Yutani agenda, not like our colleges that never push any political agenda ever, of course not. So another letter that says to Morrow basically that his daughter died, and it's a very dry letter. There's absolutely no emotion. Your daughter is dead. Do you want something for breakfast, or you want to skip it? This is basically the vibe of this letter. So I think that at some point we need to see that Morrow's allegiance to Weyland-Yutani will be broken. And I think maybe Weyland-Yutani had something to do with his daughter's death. This is something that will turn him 180 towards this company. So maybe, and this is just my theory, and I've been proven many times wrong already, even though I kind of think sometimes I had better idea. But anyway, so let's move on to the questions that I have about this episode. And I honestly mean it. This is not me trying to bash this show. I think it has a lot of good qualities. And I can be wrong too, and I can unnotice or not notice some things that will explain the questions that I'm gonna ask you right now. So this is not only me trying to say how fucking stupid is this is me actually asking you, look, if you have a logical explanation, please write to me in the comments, because I want to become smarter, and if there's something that can help me do that, sure, why not? I don't want to be proven right only. I can be proven wrong. It's also an improvement. Anyway, let's start. So the first question is how this guy was hired as, as assistant to security officer like Morrow. Let's establish some base information. This expedition is very important to Weyland-Yutani. It carries a very important cargo. Okay, we have seen Boy Cavalier ready to sacrifice half of his city and even his new advanced premium robots to secure this cargo. Weyland-Yutani is probably ready to do everything also to do the same. We heard in the end of this episode when she said whatever he wants, he gets. So every possible resource will be implemented in order to retrieve this cargo. So it is an important cargo, it is an important mission. and he is the most fierce creature Weyland-Yutani's grandmother has ever seen. This is why he was chosen to be the security officer on this ship, because he is the best of the best. So how is the best of the best got paired with the most retarded, stupid character I have ever seen? Even though in this episode we're gonna find someone even dumber than him. So his reaction, basically, the assistant to security officer, after two people are being attacked by an alien form of life, one of which is dead, is basically, do you want to watch some porn videos? I recorded some videos of, you know, them hooking up. Can we watch it together? How he got hired, how he passed the test, how he passed the psychological test, how he was considered a professional in his field to be the right hand to best of the best. Tomorrow. Okay, not tomorrow, tomorrow. Okay, do you feel safe? Do you feel safe in this moment? I mean, it's like, he has a chair. What are you afraid of? Yeah, so some alien forms are on the loose. But he has a chair. So, you know, breathe. It's okay. Still the same question. How he got hired. Also, if he is an assistant to security officer on the ship with the crew that doesn't probably contain, like, I don't know, hundreds of people. Probably just a couple of dozens. Half of them are dead. How is the assistant to security officer doesn't know who Petrovich is? The lead engineer on this ship. One of the main, basically, people on the ship. This is an assistant to security officer. How he doesn't know who Petrovich is? This is one of his base requirements and obligations. To know everybody on this ship. Not just how they look. Who they are. What are their fears. How they can be a danger to the company and to the ship and to the mission. Okay, anyway, moving forward. As I told you, compared to this genius, the previous one is really a fucking genius, because this one is basically got enlisted because he thought they're gonna collect some rocks, because he doesn't know a difference between biology and geology. Well, he's an apprentice to the mechanic. Okay, so whatever. But he also has a brain of a 4-year-old. Because he can be tricked by saying to him that if you split a pie into 2 halves, you actually have 2 pies. And he's like, you tricked me the last time, I'm not gonna do this again. So I don't have anything against people, you know, with different psychological difficulties, obviously. Okay, this is something that you have to deal with, and whatever, you understand exactly what I'm trying to say. Nothing against people with psychological difficulties. I still have a question. How somebody who is clearly not developed enough to be in high school was selected to this important mission? Is Weyland-Yutani doesn't give a shit at all? Like, but they're showing to us something else. They are showing to us that they actually give a lot of shit, and they're actually ready to do a lot to bring this cargo back. And they sent an expedition for 65 years, so it was super important, and they put one of the most important loyal people on this ship, Morrow. It just doesn't work for me. Please help me understand. Also, he's laughing at the saboteur. It sounds Frenchman, and he's saying that duty sounds like duty. So once again, how is this 3-year-old is on this ship? Like, if it was a Hollywood job, we would ask, like, who did he have to screw to get on the ship? But, like, who screwed him in this situation? And also, Weyland-Yutani, like, you can just basically destroy your ship. If you don't give a ship, just blow it up instead of sending this kind of a crew. Okay, but also, another question. If you understand that your ship was fucked up in a certain hole, when somebody knew exactly where this hole was, how come your next step is not waking up the lead engineer of the ship and asking him, did you do this shit? Because you're probably the only person on the ship who knows that, where to find this hole, and if you're not that, who else knows? So let's limit our suspect list to the people who know exactly where the hole is. The rest of them can probably breathe. because they are not suspects, because they don't know shit about how the ship is built. They don't know how to blow it up, they don't know where to create a sabotage, so let's limit the suspect list instead of reading our daughter letters. No? No. Okay, anyway, moving forward, we have another super interesting conclusion. So we know while they were coming back home, they ran a lot of tests on the subjects, because we have seen that they know information about the ocelos and the big flowery thing. And even here, Rahim is basically confirming, like, we know they can survive in a cold vacuum of space, right? We know that, right? So we tested this. So when one of them is basically attacking a crew member, we're gonna try to freeze it in a cryo chamber, because we know it can survive the cold vacuum of space. So we're gonna freeze it. Is this episode about winning a Darwin Prize? You know, like the dumbest death ever in a year? I don't understand how it works. Now, if you're writing Dumb and Dumber, it's okay. We can enjoy very stupid people on the screen. If they're believable, if it's in an interesting setup, then yeah, sure, why not? But I still cannot understand how this 95% Dumb and Dumber crew was able to be recruited on this super important mission, was able to search for many different worlds and even collect different life forms, super dangerous life forms, and succeed. And now they're showing us basically the dumbest people on Earth. And also, if your goal, as you always state in podcast and every interview, that the first goal of every TV show is to show us character that we care about, that we want them to succeed, we don't want them to die, then you know that in horror movies, the rule is stupidity is always punished. And it actually brings usually satisfaction to the viewer, because you're seeing somebody doing something super dumb, and when, eventually death comes to them, you're like, yeah, you were dumb, this is what you get. And this was mainly my emotion while I was watching this video. Like, the only person I wanted to survive actually survived, and I already knew it, so I wasn't really invested during this episode. Like, what's gonna happen to them? Fuck them, they're dumb. Everything that happened to them could be easily prevented if they just be a little bit smarter, just not too much. They don't even have to be genius, just normal people smart, not super IQ, high IQ or something like this. So anyway, yeah, but once again, we have another contender for the Darwin Prize. There is basically an alarm in the ship, so there is danger. So what you're gonna do? I'm gonna eat some sandwich. It's Subway time. So once again, another question. Let's say she forgot to close. Happens. Okay, once again, the best of the best on this ship. She forgot to close the lid for this containment, whatever it is, and Rahim comes and you have left the top open. Whatever happens. Okay, it happens sometimes. And this is also an interesting thing, because this is, okay, without irony, this is interesting. We learn about the ticks that they don't eat dead bodies. For 2 weeks, they've been deprived of food and they've been presented with dead rats, and they decline. But at this moment, when she spills some water, one of them is creating a diversion. He's eating the dead rat, and completely distracts Ragabi, and the other one is basically releasing them from the captivity. So they are pretty smart, they are intelligent, they can actually solve multi-layered tasks. This is interesting, right? But once again, they ran tests, they know about ovomorph, they know how to use blue light, they know exactly what T. ocelos does, they know a lot of things about the ticks, like we have seen this short, this is behind the scenes, so there's information about the ticks, they managed to run some tests, but somehow they never tested the reaction of a new life to the most basic life element on Earth, water. During this time, doesn't matter how many years, weeks or months that they're flying, and they're running tests on the subjects between their cryosleep, never even it came to their mind to test the reaction of those species to water. And this is why they just eat sandwiches next to them, they drink water without any security measures. She's just basically putting some gloves. That's it. Some gloves. Whatever. Alien life species. Yeah, forgot to close the tap. Yeah, whatever. So I'm not gonna drink water next to them. We don't know how they react to water, so what am I supposed to be right now? Starving? I'm supposed to eat my sandwich in the kitchen like everybody else? What are you talking about? Come on. Anyway, like, we're moving forward, so they plant their eggs in the water, and in this moment, I was pretty sure that the Ocelos is basically banging on the wall, trying to tell her, like, they're escaping, bitch! You should check it out! Stop doing what you're doing, they're actually escaping right under your nose, you moron! But in the podcast, they basically explained that he was trying to draw attention to him so they can escape and he can see exactly what they did to repeat it and escape himself. Now, if you didn't get it, watch the podcast. I don't know. I honestly, once again, I read a lot of comments in my Telegram group, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I was pretty much thinking the same. Like, he was just trying to tell her, to warn her. Maybe he's one of the good guys or something like this. I really needed the podcast to understand it. If you understood it on the spot, you're better than me. Hats off to you. And also, we understand that T. Ocelos is, for some reason, not an it, it's a she. I don't know why she came to this conclusion, so she knows its gender, whatever, or it's just basically she's like so fond of them, she's a she, she's my girl, she's my girlfriend, we're gonna go some shopping together, whatever. Or maybe it's just because the T. Ocelos already laid eggs in Petrovich's wife's eyes. A wife or woman's lover, whatever it is. So this is what basically made him to turn on Weyland-Yutani. As I told you, there's so much information about those creatures to understand that they are extremely dangerous, beyond any measure, and you should be extremely cautious when you're dealing with them. Gloves, not enough. Did Weyland-Yutani save some budget money on protective costumes? Because if you're gonna ask ChatGPT or whatever AI, like how our laboratories work, in this situation, everybody wears a protective costume. Especially if there's a risk for contamination. But not in the future where we already conquered space. Anyway, like moving forward. So, you know, like my car, if I'm not closing the door until the end, I'm not going to be able to lock it down. Or if I, let's say, I already switched off the engine, but I forgot to turn off the lights. So the car will scream like crazy, you forgot something, but I guess future spaceships are not as advanced as Mazda from 2014. Because here, you know, it didn't lock up, that's it, no security measures, it did once, and that's it, Regabi didn't hear so yeah, the Ocelos breaks free. But it's not at all, because how is it possible that in this ship that is so important to Weyland-Yutani, with life forms that already took so many lives of the ship's crew, you contain those life forms not in a carbonite glass, in just some super thin glass that basically breaks like nothing, falling from 2-meter height. This is ridiculous. Now I have to say something, because I understand I don't like myself doing this kind of a content, because it's just I'm basically complaining and complaining and complaining. Every TV show, every movie will have those moments where your suspension of disbelief will work a little harder than usual. But when there's so many moments concentrated in just one episode, it blows up, and you already at this moment you cannot stop noticing everything. Suddenly everything already bugs you, because your suspension of disbelief already blew through the roof and it's not working anymore, and it's not accepting anything already that's been presented to you. Okay, if it's like, as I told you, if it's once in 10 minutes, it's okay. If it's every fucking 10 seconds something stupid happens, you're like, what is going on? Your perception starts to change, and you start noticing even more and more and more. Also, Weyland-Yutani doesn't have enough money for video cameras. There are a lot of blind spots apparently where you can hide. Also, you can easily trick Mother, which is supposed to be a super advanced artificial intelligence that makes ChatGPT looks like a moron. But once again, if you like put a watermelon instead of yourself in the cryopod, the computer will still think that you're there. I don't know, like they didn't even bother to explain it to us. Like, they tricked it. How? They tricked it. How? You write your own damn script, you know? So Mother runs routine system checks and engineers do stress tests. Mother basically runs all the systems on the ship. And since we live in a world when there's a lot of corporate espionage and there's a lot of different, like almost wars between those companies that basically became governments already, you can basically give a call to somebody via Skype or Zoom and basically tell them everything that happens on the ship. Nobody monitors this video, nobody checks it. Because, you know, privacy, suddenly Weyland-Yutani is all about privacy and they're not watching the videos, even though we know that even right now, if I'm gonna say something to my iPhone about, I don't know, United States, suddenly in 2 seconds I'm gonna be bombarded with ads about cheap flights to the United States. You want to rent a hotel in United States. I'm gonna say something about jewelry. I'm gonna see a lot of jewelry, but you know what, Weyland-Yutani, they're good guys. They're not gonna monitor the conversation, the video conversation on the ship with their most precious cargo ever. Nah. All about privacy. Does it make sense to you? Am I being too harsh or is it completely stupid? Anyway, once again, what is the point of this conversation? Hey honey, if you miss me, just look at the stars. I'm gonna be there. Or maybe, you know what? Give me a fucking call. Okay, it's just 10 minutes of your time. Rahim was calling home a lot, was making plans. So why in the first years when, you know, daughter was still alive, why not give some call to daddy or something like this? Why not? Why letters? Anyway, moving forward, once again, there is a risk. There are ticks in the body of one of the crew members. We need not the scientists. Okay, we need Morrow to say, what if it's contamination? So at the end of the episode, when he's saying I'm taking control of the ship, I was like, thank you! Finally! Somebody who is a little bit competent running the show, because I couldn't watch anymore the stupidity of those people. Once again, there is a contamination. Somebody is like puking blood right now. And they find there's a lot of ticks in his digestive system. So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna smoke some cigarettes and we're not gonna even put any mask. Once again, I challenge you, ask Google, ask ChatGPT, ask Grok, whatever you use. In the situation, if there is a contamination in the laboratory, in the hospital, what is going to happen? This place is gonna be 100% sealed, it will become a contamination zone. Everybody who is in will be either subjected to some kind of a clearance or whatever it is, but if you want to enter with new people there, you will have to wear protective suit. But as we established, Weyland-Yutani doesn't have a budget for protective suits apparently. They don't even have the budget for surgical masks. So they basically, you know, proceeding with the surgery on an open body without even wearing a freaking surgical mask. And they die, of course, and we know that they basically diagnosed this shit as Code 1562, which is an alien life form. When there is an alien life form, you don't want to wear a protective suit in this situation. Maybe there's gonna be something that you have no idea about. Maybe there's gonna be some kind of a poison, gas, something, it will attack you. Don't you want to protect your own life? You see, this is what I'm saying. When you're watching a movie and TV show and you see a character that completely neglects any safety measures and something bad happens to them, you cannot feel sorry for them. This is not real life. You're watching a movie or TV show. When you in real life, you will feel sorry almost for everybody, unless it's a completely, you know, like garbage of a human being, a crime, you know, like a criminal, something like this. And even in those situations, sometimes you will feel sorry for those people. But in the TV show, if you want us to feel sorry and involved with the fate of the characters, you need to show us that those people deserve to die in the situation that happens to them. Okay, you didn't show it to me. At least to me, this is my humble opinion. I don't want to force it on anybody else. To me, you didn't show that those people didn't get what was coming to them because of their stupid actions and decisions. And by the way, we are seeing that dicks are leaving, and for some reason we are seeing them here back again after the crash. So they probably got scared of the crash and they were like, let's climb to something warm and fuzzy where we already have been. Anyway, we have some dude in the costume of the alien basically sniffing Zeravi here. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna chase you, but she knows how to teleport because like here she's like half a meter away from him, and here she's already non-existent because she knows she's like, Nitro Speed, Vin Diesel, Fast and the Furious. And here, once again, it's completely subjective. I understand somebody can watch this and be, oh my god, this is so scary, this is so creepy. All I see is a dude doing this. Ooh, I'm an alien. Look at me. Ooh, I'm gonna move like an alien right now. No disrespect to the guy who is in this suit. This is the director's job. To make it look realistic, to make it feel like this is a xenomorph, one of the most dangerous creatures in the universe, and not some dude in the costume pretending to be one. Okay, I don't know, once again, if you have seen this moment and you were like, oh my god, this is terrifying, oh my god, he's creeping towards her, I envy you. I am jealous of you because I wanted to enjoy this episode so much. I was expecting this episode all week. It was supposed to be the best episode, and for many people it is, but for me, not really. So anyway, at this moment I just want to check what we had in the first episode, like all of those let's Agatha Christie this shit. You remember when they teased us in episode 2, let the scientists and the medics Agatha Christie this shit, or they showed us those flashbacks, you know, like flashing shots of Alien, of everything that happens. So what was the payoff of everything? So the payoff of the story of Tank, we were thought maybe he implemented her with some kind of a virus on one of these alien life forms, and this is why he's checking on her every night. He's not just some weird creep, a maniac that's supposed to be probably in jail, but for some reason he is in on this super important expedition. And the answer is yeah, he's a creep who likes to be master debater at night just by looking at a girl in her panties. Yeah, another character for me to feel sorry for, like to be involved in his fate. I hope he survives, right? So we had already like pretty much a clear hint that those guys are hooking up, and they're hooking up. Okay, yay. And they lost a lot of good men. We talked about this, so they know already a lot of information about the aliens. They know how fucking dangerous they are. So when two of them actually escape, their choice is basically to go in the room, eat some food, run some jokes about duty. This is how serious they take this situation, when they lost a lot of good men already. But you know, let's lose some more, who gives a crap? And then they get angry at Whale and Yutani for not giving a shit about their lives. When you don't give a shit about your life, how do you want somebody else to give a shit about your life? Also, can somebody explain to me how it works with Boy Cavalier's motivation of creating somebody who is smarter than him? So he created Wendy, and he put a supercomputer in her head because he hopes somebody to talk to someone who is on his level. Okay, this is an interesting motivation for the villain. Okay, this is not I'm bad because I'm bad. This is I'm so freaking smart, even though I'm stupid in other areas, but I see myself so much smarter than everybody else that I want to create a new life form that will be smarter than me. And yeah, in this situation, I'm super ready to give up on this new life form, on this perspective of somebody actually achieving this level, because I want some new animals. Do you want to have this conversation with the Xenomorph or with the T-Ocelot? You already put on the scale your creation, Wendy and the rest of the Premius, and you put on the scale new life forms that are pretty much animals, danger animals, and you decided that this is more important to you. So maybe, yeah, sure, why not? But once again, how it works with your monologue about I just want to talk to somebody smarter than me. Who? Xenomorph or T-Ocelot? Or maybe the Ticks? Who is gonna be smarter than you? Why you're ready to sacrifice your creation and half of your city for those creatures? When it's established that your motivation is to become, you know, like to find somebody who you can actually have a normal conversation with. It's just not working for me. It doesn't connect. Something that we have seen in previous episode doesn't connect with something that we are seeing in episode 5. Okay, so yeah, he wants on the ship, but this is a good moment. For example, this is the moment that was completely stupid to me in episode 2. Like when Morrow is asking, where is Cavalier? Like, why would you expect the trillionaire, basically the president of this part of the world, to actually come to the ship? But now it makes sense, because he knows that he was behind the sabotage. He was the one to basically promised Petrovich whatever he wanted. So he would probably be on the location of the ship to see like his investment paying off. So yeah, this makes sense, and this is a very good writing. Something that didn't make sense now make a lot of sense, and this is the aha moment. Yeah, you know how to write. Why you didn't do the same with the rest of the moments I talked about in this video? So yeah, we have Petrovich. If you were able to come to the conclusion that he is the one responsible for the sabotage, you were able to Agatha Christie this shit. Because he said like, well, it's probably just a glitch, I can have a look, when they discovered that there's some problem with the lock system. Hats off to you, you're way better detective than I am. But it seems to me almost impossible to come to this conclusion. We have way more interesting suspects, in my opinion. Once again, it felt just anticlimactic to me. Like, who is that? Is that Morrow? Is he having some kind of a motivations or something we don't know about? Maybe it's Tank. Maybe he's doing something else. This is why he's looking at the girl, and he's trying to create a sabotage. He's waiting for alien life form to burst through her body or something like this. No, it's Petrovich. Who? Petrovich. Who? Another interesting thing to me, like at this conversation, Shmuel is saying to the Moran kid that when they left, his wife was 31 years old. Now the actor is in his 60s. So maybe, just maybe, he was in his 60s and he got married to somebody who is 31. Okay, possible. Usually it's between super attractive millionaire and a girl who's just super in love with him about his personality or something like this. But sometimes it can happen for a mechanic and a way younger girl. It can happen. But can we agree that most likely he was at least 35, 36, 37, 40, okay, 9 years old is pretty big difference in age, but it also can happen. So he aged 20 years during this expedition, and it's logical because he's a mechanic, he needs to wake up, he needs to go there, they are doing some switch ups. We are seeing that when Morrow is waking up, he's asking, is this a changeover? So you have two security officers, sometimes Morrow is awake, sometimes the other one is awake. They travel the worlds, they travel different planets, they couldn't be just, always in a cryo chamber for 65 years. So they aged. So it begs the question, how old were the other crew members when they got drafted to this mission? Was this guy 4-year-old? Or like, was he even born? Or was he like maybe, I don't know, just an embryo taken to the ship as the future apprentice? If yes, this is a very interesting decision by Weyland-Yutani to, as I told you, recruit people to a very important mission. Let's send children. Okay, Morrow didn't age because he's a cyborg. What about the rest? If Shmuel aged about 20, 15 years, what about the rest of the ship? How old were they? Yes, some of them are in their 30s and 40s. Makes sense. But there are some of them who are basically in their early 20s. Once again, if you have an explanation, I'm more than willing to accept it and admit that I was wrong. Okay? And as I told you, he's waking up. Is it a changeover? So there are some changeovers. How does this work? I think their decision to make this expedition for 65 years, to emphasize the greediness of corporations and to criticize bad billionaires. As usual, the good millionaires in Hollywood criticizing the bad billionaires in rest in the other industries. And it's not me saying that billionaires are great, amazing people. They do have too much power in their hands. But it's always funny to me that, people with tens of millions of dollars are saying, being rich is bad. We should stop the rich. It's just funny. I don't want to make it political or something like this. It's just the whole, whatever your affiliation, you can agree that this is funny when somebody who's just a little less richer is basically saying that somebody else who is more richer than me is the evil one. Anyway, so yeah, this episode was weird and disappointing to me. It has some good moments, and I'm gonna keep watching the TV show because I am invested in Morrow. I kind of like Wendy also, but for me, she's not a real human being. She's just a computer program that simulates a human being, okay? This is not, you cannot magically transform your essence, whoever you are, to somebody, and even, you know, the characters themselves say that in the previous episode, in episode 4, like, in a good scenario, we have like some androids that running around and thinking they're children. In a bad scenario, we just killed a bunch of kids. And both of those scenarios are pretty fucking bad in this situation. You cannot really transform life into non-living form. So yeah, like, I'm not really invested in Wendy. Eventually, if she's gonna die, this is just gonna be a broken robot. You're not gonna cry tears if your, I don't know, Roomba is broken up or something like this, no matter how smart it is. So yeah, Moro, and I want to know more about T. Ocelos. He's very interesting to me, and apparently ticks are also intelligent, so I want to know more about them. But unfortunately, something that was supposed to be for me the best episode of this series was one of the worst. The amount of inconsistencies, the amount of stupid decisions, unexplainable to me, stupid crew members, it was too much for me. And it's a shame, because I really wanted to enjoy this. Anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you to these amazing people that you see on the screen right now that are supporting me on Patreon and YouTube. Your donations is what make this channel possible. Thank you so much. I'm gonna see you on the next one. Meanwhile, bye!